Sometimes life stops, not in a sudden and dramatic way like a catastrophic event, but in a subtle and profound way. The things that once made sense suddenly lose their shine. The routine that once brought comfort now feels like a shirt that shrank in the wash, tight and uncomfortable. It's not a total loss, but a strange stillness that has settled in. It's as if life has become a little quieter, and the old ambitions that once drove us no longer seem so important. This experience of emptiness or the lack of a clear purpose can be deeply disorienting. You may find yourself looking around, feeling like you're in a place that isn't yours. Conversations seem empty. The goals you once chased so hard seem to have lost their urgency. It's as if life has gone into standby mode, and the voice that once guided you has gone silent. This feeling is widely misunderstood. Most people, when faced with this moment, assume they are in a process of stagnation. We are taught to believe that progress is a linear, constant path. Our mind, conditioned to associate progress with constant movement and activity, quickly assumes that this stillness is a problem, that we are stagnant, apathetic, or worse yet, that we have failed at something. The first reaction is often panic, the urgency to do something to fill this empty space, to try to fix what seems broken. We confuse the absence of external movement with the absence of internal progress. We tend to try to fill the void with activities, distractions, and noise, believing that the only solution to disinterest is effort. But this reaction is one of the biggest mistakes we can make. What most don't realize is that this feeling of stillness is one of the most important signs that something big is happening inside. Many times, these moments are the first signs of a quantum leap in progress. It's as if your life were realigning, restructuring itself, and what you feel as a pause is actually a phase of internal preparation, a recalibration process essential for your next big change. And your ability to recognize and understand this moment is what will make all the difference in your journey. Think, for example, of nature. Before a seed germinates and becomes a plant, it goes through a period of silence and darkness, absorbing nutrients from the soil. What we see as an inactive state is actually one of the most dynamic and vital moments of its cycle. In the same way, your life may be right now preparing for a new phase, and what you feel as a lack of direction may actually be the dissolution of old structures that can no longer serve you. Our view of progress, the one most of us have absorbed, is a narrative of continuous effort and visible growth. But that narrative rarely tells the whole story. The truth is that the deepest transformations don't happen in the chaos of constant action, but in the silence that precedes the advance. What you feel as a pause in your life is not a lack of movement, but a fundamental change in the type of movement taking place. It's the moment when the energy you used to interact with the outside world is being redirected to internal work of organization and alignment. But what happens when we feel this kind of friction? Think of it as a frequency mismatch. Your soul, your most authentic self, is expanding, rising to a new vibrational frequency. Meanwhile, your external reality, the relationships, the work, the beliefs you've always had, still operates at the old frequency. It's like trying to run a next-generation app on an outdated operating system. The app crashes, the system slows down, and the experience is frustrating. The problem isn't the app. The problem is that an upgrade is needed. Your life now may be in a similar state. This means the foundations that supported it are being reorganized. Your old beliefs and patterns are being reviewed, and your inner being is strengthening for the new reality that's on its way. This is the rupture phase. It's a moment when the things that once fit perfectly now seem forced. Friendships that once felt light and comfortable now seem heavy and restrictive. Work projects that gave you purpose now feel meaningless. Even your own inner dialogue, the thoughts that define who you are, start to sound strange. This happens because the vibrational structure that held your old life together is falling apart. But this is a necessary process. After all, you can't carry the baggage of the old reality into the new. This recalibration is both a biological and spiritual process. Neuroscience shows us that the brain needs periods of inactivity, of downtime, to process new information, consolidate memories, and most importantly, to rewire itself. What you feel as mental emptiness or lack of ambition may actually be your brain's way of giving itself the space it needs to release old neural circuits and start building new ones. It's as if it's preparing to operate at a different level of consciousness and perception, a level your old reality simply didn't require. The tools, habits, and even the people who helped you get to where you are now may not be the same ones that will take you to the next level. That's why they start to feel irrelevant. Spiritually, this phase is seen by many traditions as entering the void. It's not a void of nothingness, but a void of unlimited potential. Your higher self is, in a way, clearing the path, removing the excess and the distraction so you can focus on what really matters, the internal reorganization for the new reality that's about to manifest. Your ability to not resist this moment, to not judge it as a sign of failure or personal flaw, is what determines the speed and strength of your next big change. Instead of fighting the stillness, you need to learn to trust it. Understand that, in the grand scheme of things, this pause is not an interruption in your journey. It is the most crucial moment of your journey, the act of taking a deep breath before making a leap. It not only prepares you for the change, but is also proof that the change is already underway. Once the internal recalibration begins, it quickly manifests in your external world. The feeling that things no longer fit is not just a random perception. It is the direct result of a frequency mismatch. Think of your life as an energy field with a specific vibrational signature. For years, this signature kept you connected to a particular set of experiences, people, and opportunities. But when you decide on a deeper level that it's time to expand, your inner frequency rises, and the structures that were built on the old frequency begin to feel the friction. This is what causes the rupture. It's not a catastrophic event, but a gradual process of disconnection. And not only do your routine, work, and relationships change, but even your favorite hobbies and entertainments can lose their appeal. The tension you feel is the result of your inner being operating at a new, higher frequency, while your outer reality is still stuck at the old one. This dissonance is a sign that your current life can no longer sustain the version of you that is emerging, and your system, in its inherent wisdom, is starting to let go of what is no longer compatible. The countless patterns, beliefs, and identities that kept you anchored in the past are loosening. The threads are starting to come undone so a new pattern can be created. This rupture is an active and sometimes painful process. Your brain, accustomed to seeking comfort and predictability, will do everything it can to pull you back to what is familiar. It will try to convince you to fix what's broken, to fight to keep relationships and situations that are already falling apart. But that struggle, that effort to hold on to the old, is what keeps you stuck in the friction. True freedom lies in allowing the old reality to fall away, in trusting that the universe is not taking something from you, but creating space for something much greater. The perception that your life is falling apart is one of the biggest illusions of this process, because at a fundamental level, you are not falling to pieces. You are shedding what no longer belongs to you. The friction you feel is the driving force that propels you forward. It is the energy needed to power your quantum leap. So, instead of fighting the current, you need to allow the rupture to happen. Accept that what is leaving your life is what no longer resonates with your future, and that the discomfort you feel may just be the sound of your new reality approaching. This is the moment when you enter a liminal space, a portal between timelines, as if you had one foot in the past and the other in the future. Your old self is dissolving, and the new version of you is forming. It is a space of pure potential, like a blank canvas ready to be painted. When the old structures of your life begin to break apart, you enter a state that can be extremely uncomfortable: the void. This phase can feel like a vacuum because the map you've used for years to navigate your life no longer works, and you don't yet have a new one. Our mind, trained to fear the unknown, interprets this void as a threat. We see it as a sign that something is missing, that we've been left behind, or that we've lost control. But this is a limited interpretation. This void is the place from which all creation emerges before it manifests into the light. Instead of being a vacuum, the void is a space of pure potentiality, free from the impressions and limitations of the past. Your soul is reorganizing its own energy to align with the reality you are attracting, and for that, it needs a blank canvas. That's why the tools you've used to navigate life until now no longer work. The effort, the control, and the need to plan every step, which worked in the old reality, belong to the identity you're leaving behind. In the void, the work is no longer about doing, but about being. It's a period for listening, not acting. It's a moment of deep receptivity, where your being is adjusting to a new frequency. The apparent lack of motivation we feel is not apathy. It's an indication that our system is in tuning mode, preparing to operate at an entirely new level. Despite all the stillness, the void is not an empty space. It's actually filled with quantum information, reorganizing your reality in ways your conscious mind can't yet perceive. The silence you hear is the sound of your future patiently being assembled behind the scenes. The absence of your old motivation and disinterest in your old habits are the first signs that this restructuring is underway. It's a complex process of healing and alignment that can only happen when you step out of effort mode and into trust mode. The most common mistake is to panic and try to fill this void with old distractions or low-frequency habits. This is what the mind will do to feel safe. However, the more you resist the void, the longer you remain suspended between two realities. The path to the quantum leap is one of trust. It is to breathe into the stillness and observe what is happening without judgment. The void, though serene in its essence, is not devoid of feelings. Quite the opposite. One of the strongest signs that your quantum leap has already begun is the amplification of your emotional world. You may find yourself on an emotional roller coaster, in one moment feeling overwhelming euphoria and certainty that something incredible is about to happen. In the next moment, a wave of doubt, fear, and uncertainty floods in, making you question everything. And with that, you may ask yourself, why do I feel so insecure if I'm about to have a major change in my life? The answer lies in the physics of transition. Your brain, with its predictive programming, is trying to understand what is happening based on what it already knows. The new reality you are attracting has no precedent in your experience, and your nervous system, accustomed to operating in its comfort zone, perceives this change as a threat. So this kind of oscillation is not a sign that you are failing or emotionally unstable. It is the emotional signature of a system in transition. And the more intense the oscillation, the closer you are to the turning point. The moment when one reality stabilizes and the other dissolves completely. Your life and your mind operate through a vibrational frequency. When you raise that frequency, but the reality around you is still aligned with the old one, the friction manifests in your body and mind as emotion. Your emotions are like a pendulum, swinging between the energies of the timeline you are leaving and the one you are entering. Euphoria is the resonance with your future, the feeling that you are already living in the new reality. Doubt is the echo of your past, the fear of letting go of what is familiar, even if it no longer serves you. From a neuroscience perspective, The brain operates based on predictive models. It is constantly using past experiences to simulate what should happen in the future, seeking safety and predictability. When your soul decides to leap into a new reality, your higher self is pulling you toward an experience that has no precedent in your history. This creates internal tension. Your brain, trying to follow the old script, clashes with your being, which is moving into a new one. This emotional turbulence is the result of that internal battle, a sign that your nervous system is adjusting to a new altitude it has never experienced before. When you find yourself at this point of transition, the first reaction most people have is to try to fix what is falling apart. Your instinct tells you to hold on to the old structures. I need to fix this relationship. I have to force interest in this job. I need to feel good again no matter what. But in the quantum field, trying to restore the old is a step backward. It's like trying to paddle against the current. Instead of speeding up the process, you delay it, remaining suspended between the two realities. In quantum terms, you are in a state of superposition, where the old and new realities coexist simultaneously, and your emotions are the direct result of this oscillation. With every peak of hope and every valley of uncertainty, your energy field is tuning itself to align with the new timeline. The most common mistake here is to interpret doubt as a sign to go back, as if turbulence meant the plane wasn't flying. In reality, turbulence is proof that the flight is underway. It is the energy that needs to be processed so your system can adapt to the new environment. Your task now is not to eliminate the emotions, but to observe them without judgment. The first and most important strategy is surrender. This does not mean apathy, but rather deep trust that the process is working in your favor. So your most important task is not to fight or force, but to observe and allow. Instead of labeling these emotions as good or bad, see them as indicators. For example, joy shows you that you are in alignment. Doubt shows you that a part of you is still attached to the old. Allow yourself to feel what needs to be felt. Your non-reaction to stillness and uncertainty is what allows the new reality to be built. That's why it's important to practice conscious neutrality. It's what allows you to stabilize your frequency. When the wave of uncertainty comes, breathe and observe, knowing it is a temporary fluctuation. When you do this, you stop reinforcing the oscillation cycle and start anchoring yourself in the stability of your new reality, preparing for the moment when the quantum field will solidify into your new life. The attempt to fix what is falling apart is a form of resistance, and in the energetic field, resistance is like static that scrambles your frequency. It prevents the new reality, which is already forming, from fully manifesting in your life. Action in the quantum leap is not about force, but about alignment. The quantum field does not respond to your effort or how hard you push to make things happen. It responds to your vibration, to your coherence. A single moment of clear alignment with your new frequency will do more for your transition than weeks of frantic effort. The need to fix, to prove, and to fight is a sign that you are still trying to operate from the old identity, using tools that are no longer compatible with your future. This attachment to the old is what prolongs your time in the void. Resistance prevents you from moving into the next phase. You remain in a state of suspension, in a sort of decompression chamber between who you were and who you are becoming. What feels like being stuck is, most of the time, a self-imposed state caused by the refusal to let go. The people who make the quantum leap successfully are those who understand that letting go is the most powerful form of action at this moment. They don't try to rebuild. They allow the new reality to be built. Our task, therefore, is to change our point of view. This simple shift in perspective redirects your energy from fear and resistance to receptivity. It transforms what you see as a loss into an opportunity. Your ability to let things dissolve without panic is what tunes you to your new reality, allowing life to flow naturally and effortlessly, bringing exactly what you need. This doesn't mean you are giving up or becoming passive. On the contrary, surrender is the most powerful action you can take at this moment. It is a conscious choice to align with the flow of life instead of fighting against it. It is the decision to trust in a greater intelligence that is orchestrating your journey, even if your ego, with its need for control, cannot see the full picture. Surrender requires you to become an observer of your own experience instead of a reactor. Your work is no longer to push the door, but to allow it to open. This shift in posture is what takes you out of the fight state and into a state of receiving. Surrender is practiced daily, even in the small moments of discomfort. When a situation that would have triggered you in the past appears, you consciously choose a new response. It is not an easy task, but it is the one that sets you free. It is a demonstration to the universe that you are ready to operate at a higher level, that you trust the process. The true strength of your quantum leap doesn't come from how hard you push, but from how much you allow. So, allow the old reality to dissolve without trying to restore it. Allow the emotions of uncertainty to pass without clinging to them. Allow the stillness to teach you what action could not. Because it is exactly in this space of allowance that energetic tunings can align and your vibrational field can purify, preparing for your new reality. It's as if the universe wants to be sure you truly trust, and it often presents you with one last, crucial test to confirm that your new frequency is ready to manifest. This is where the synchronicity test comes in. The act of surrender puts you in a state of total trust in the process. And ironically, it is exactly at this point of surrender that the universe often presents what can be seen as a final opportunity to choose. You may begin to notice old challenges, people from your past, or even thought patterns you believed you had already overcome reappearing. A conversation that pushes you back into the same place of anger, a financial situation that triggers the same fear of scarcity, or a wave of self-criticism that feels strangely familiar. Make no mistake, these moments are not punishments or signs that you are regressing. They are mirrors, reflecting back the frequency you used to inhabit so you can decide once and for all whether you still want to live there. From a neuroscience perspective, the brain, which loves efficiency, is simply firing the most used neural pathways. It's a kind of final test, a simulation to see if you will react with the old programming or respond from your new frequency. Each time you choose the higher frequency response, like gratitude instead of panic, calm instead of anger, you weaken the old pathway and strengthen the new one. In the quantum field, this is what we call collapsing the old wave of probability. Until you make a new choice, the version of you that reacts from the past and the version that responds from alignment coexist. The moment you act in a way that aligns with your new reality, you collapse the reality of your old self, and the new one becomes the only active signal you are transmitting. The wrong interpretation here is to see these challenges as proof that you're failing. The reality is the opposite. The very appearance of these scenarios means you've already changed enough for them to be flushed out of your energy field. After all, you can't clear what you haven't yet outgrown. The simple fact that you're aware of these patterns now and asking yourself how to respond differently is the strongest sign that you're one step away from your big shift. Your quantum leap has already happened on an energetic level, and now it's waiting for you to meet it on the physical level. The real proof that your new reality is already here is not a big explosion or dramatic event. Contrary to what movies make us believe, real transformation rarely arrives with fireworks and loud music. It arrives quietly. One day, You simply wake up and realize that the fear that used to paralyze you is no longer there. That problem that consumed you for months suddenly feels irrelevant. A conversation that would have triggered you in the past now leaves you completely unfazed. This happens because the old frequency simply dissolves. There's no fight or big announcement. One moment you're in one orbit, the next moment you're in another. Quantum physics teaches us that when an electron jumps to a higher energy level, it does so instantly. There's no gradual process. The quantum leap in your life happens the same way. And that's why the mind may try to dismiss the change, thinking, was that it? What the mind doesn't realize is that this feeling of lightness and clarity is the manifestation of the new frequency. The arrival of change is about resonance. The old frequency dissolves so completely that you barely remember why it once felt so familiar. From a neurological point of view, this is the integration phase. The brain has stopped firing the old circuits and is now solidifying the new ones. You no longer have to work to think differently. This new way of being is now your default. It becomes as natural as breathing. This is the most powerful sign you can receive. It's the universe showing you that you're no longer trying to manifest. You're living. There is a deep peace in this stage, the sense that you've stopped chasing and started inhabiting what you always wanted. Synchronicities are no longer random strokes of luck, but integrated parts of your new reality. And now that you've arrived, your work is no longer to manifest, but to solidify and expand your new reality. The biggest trap at this stage is the temptation to fall back into old habits. The mind, used to the struggle, may start looking for problems where none exist. You may find yourself testing the universe, looking for big signs or questioning whether the change was real, just to feel the familiarity of the drama. But the truth is that drama belongs to the timeline you just left. The new reality is about flow and alignment, not about effort and doubt. At this stage, manifestation is no longer a goal to reach. It is the natural result of who you have become. The quantum field responds more powerfully not to your desire but to your coherence. You have already proven to yourself that you can maintain a frequency high enough to collapse a new reality. Now the next step is to make that frequency your home. The focus shifts from what do I want to happen to how do I fully live from this version of myself. Every choice you make now, no matter how small, is an expression of your alignment. The way you handle a minor setback, the energy you bring to a conversation, or the clarity you feel when making a decision, all of this reinforces the new reality you've leapt into. You are no longer trying to create change. You are embodying change. And as you live from this new identity, the universe responds with even more clarity, bringing more opportunities and synchronicities into your life without any effort on your part. The beauty of this stage is its simplicity. The stillness you felt in the beginning, the one that seemed like a void, has now become a space of peace. Where there was friction, there is now flow. What once felt uncertain is now unshakable confidence. And this is how you know your transition is complete. When you feel that your new reality is so normal and natural that you barely remember the life you had before. Your only job is to keep inhabiting this space, trusting that the journey you surrendered to has already begun. If you've reached this point, know it wasn't by accident. You're hearing this message because you're already resonating with a higher frequency. You are already tuning in to the version of you that already has what you've been seeking. It's no longer about getting somewhere because you are already there. What matters now is to stabilize, integrate, and expand. Remember, your quantum leap is not waiting for the right moment. It is waiting for the right version of you. And the moment you stop fighting to fix what's leaving and start aligning with what's arriving, the universe aligns itself around you. Because in the end, the journey is not about fighting, but about flowing. Thank you for embarking on this journey with me. If this video resonated with you, I invite you to like and subscribe to our channel. Share this video with others so they can benefit from this message. And don't forget to leave a comment below sharing your thoughts, reflections, and experiences. Thanks again for watching and for joining me. Take care and see you soon.